Hey everyone, I'm gonna try this again. Figured I'd just make a video of the bike and go through everything that I did on it because there's so much stuff it's too hard to list. And the bike turned out so good, it's kind of hard to tell in the photos all the details. So we'll do this video, and easiest thing, I'll just start from the front and work my way back. But I mean, as you can see, the bike's pretty nice. I'll go over any flaws on it too at the end of the video, which there's very few. So yeah, go ahead and start up at the front. It's got brand new Bridgestone tires. They're brand new. I mean, I think I've only put 200 miles on the bike since I finished it, so they got less than 200 miles. Resurfaced the rotors, so they're like new. Polished and painted these wheels, which is an absolute nightmare. They look fantastic. Bottom of the fork tubes had these vapor blasted. They looked really bad. They were corroded and pitted. Vapor blasted them, and then I put that machine finish back into them. I don't know if you can see it. And then I clear coated them, so they look phenomenal. New dust boots, new seals in there. Brakes have been gone through, Cerakoted the calipers, new pads, everything. Brand new steel braided brake lines. Kind of get a idea of the condition of the paint while we're here. All right, let's work our way back. Same thing on this side. You can see the fork legs great, rotors great, caliper great, wheels look fantastic. This Kirker Kawasaki exhaust, I had this exhaust re-chrome. It was cost a fortune, and it looked really good when I first did it, but now that I put some miles on the bike, the headers are kind of turning a little bit gold, and you can see, I don't know, this one looks a little more dull than the rest of them, but I mean, it still looks great. It just didn't look as good as it did the day I got it back from the chrome shop. But you'll see the muffler looks great still. I guess up here is just where all the heat is. So collars have been re-chromed. That's a new old stock stator cover. The old one had some damage, and the previous owner, he had some stuff chromed on the bike. That was one thing he had chrome, so it needed to be replaced, and it was easier just to buy a new one than it was to try to take the chrome off the old one and polish it back to that finish. So that's a brand new piece. See the paint. Come up here. These mirrors, I redid these mirrors. I had the paint stripped, and I had those Cerakoted, the mirror stems. They look phenomenal now. Same thing with all these controls. These are all Cerakoted. They look fantastic. I replaced all the foam behind the mirror so there's no vibrations when you're riding. New grips. Switches, Cerakoted. Took them apart. That was a nightmare. This switch was broken, so I replaced all that. And then I had to hand paint all the lettering on these, which took forever, but they look fantastic. New cables, clutch cable, throttle cable, brake cable, it's all new. Chromed handlebars, new bolts. The triple trees I had powder coated, and the headlight bucket stems, or whatever you call these right here, I had these powder coated because the brake reservoir was leaking and it caused some corrosion on it. And the powder's thick enough to where it actually filled in the corrosion, and it looks fantastic now. You can't even tell it was corroded. So that's why I use powder coating on those parts. I'm not a fan of powder coat, but for that instance, it worked out perfectly. The gauges, these two are just the regular gauges. I just cleaned them for the fuel and the voltmeter. The speedometer and the tach I had sent to Bob at Z Resto, who recently had passed away. This could have been the last set of gauges he did, but they look phenomenal. All he did was took them apart, cleaned them, and redid the faces and painted the needles and put new glass on them. That is the original miles. He did not set the mileage back to 0. So I got photos of the bike before I restored it if you want to, you know, argue about that or whatever people on the internet like to do. I've put 200 miles on it since I finished it, so gauges look phenomenal. They look so crisp and clear. You can see where he painted the orange part back. They look great. Original key. On off, same thing. Cerakoted, hand painted, all the lettering. Was a nightmare, but looks amazing. Gas tanks got new gaskets all in the gas cap. Cleaned it. That's the original chrome. There's a little bit of pitting on that. Nothing you can really do about it. This spike's all original paint, so this is the original paint on the bodywork. Pingle petcock, you gotta have one of those. Carbs, got new rubber boots on both sides, new air filter. Ultrasonic cleaned the carbs, went through them, synced them. The bike runs great. Everything's perfect as far as the running goes. This is the original sprocket cover. It had the chrome stuff that he did on the stator cover. This one I was able to clean it up pretty good to match that factory finish with the machine look. You can still see a little bit of pitting in there, but I clear coated it so it looks smooth. I couldn't find one of those, so I had to do that one, but he did have it chrome, so I had to, when I got the exhaust done, they stripped the chrome on that for me, and then I had to sand it and polish it and all that stuff. So that looks, you know, it looks pretty good. It matches the stator cover pretty well. All right, we'll move back a little bit. So these shocks, they were rusty and crusty and looked awful, so I completely dismantled them, painted the shock body, had these collars re-chromed, and I had the springs powder coated. I like powder coat on springs. I don't know, I just feel like it's more durable. And they came out phenomenal. They look like brand new. They look so good. New chain. Original sprocket. Bike had low miles. Sprocket was in good shape, so I just cleaned it. Rear wheel. Brand new tires. Painted. Polished the rear wheel. That was, you know, it's a nightmare to mask off those little stripes on it and then paint it and polish the lips. It's pretty bad, but they turned out great. So we'll go around it. That's the original license plate still on it. It is registered in my name. Tags are up to date. In Texas, you can use the old plate, so that's why I still have that on there. It's actually registered to that plate. Come back over here. We got the shock again, same as the other side. Looks phenomenal. Everything's redone. Chrome collars. Rebuilt all the brakes, the back brakes, the back caliper, took it apart, you know, refinished it. Looks great. New pads, new steel braided brake lines. Everything looks good. This exhaust, pulled it completely apart, took off the baffle, sandblasted and painted the baffle. I had to repack the exhaust, had it chromed, you can tell. This piece I had stripped it, had it chromed, then I painted it just like it was from new. It looks great now. I mean, the chrome on this exhaust, it looks so cool. Like I said, on the header, it's a little bit yellow. It doesn't look as clean as the silencer part of it or the baffled part of it, but I mean, they're either going to turn gold or blue, so it looks cool. This sticker I actually had to replace. This is original paint, but this decal, I actually made this. You can kind of see where the old one was underneath it. There was like a piece ripped off the top. So I bought a set on eBay. They did not match at all. They were too wide. The colors were wrong. So I actually made some myself and took them to a print shop and had them printed, and it's an exact match. I mean, the colors and everything. You can actually see in the front. Till the end of the video, I'll show you a little piece I replaced. But they look great. So you got the re-chromed the brake lever. Everything, you know, chrome, I had to get it re-chromed. Everything that needed to be painted, I painted. Polished and painted the clutch cover. Polished and painted the ignition cover. I did paint the bottom cases, the top, so where you can see it, like up here, I did paint that. It was corroded and the paint was flaking. It looked horrible. So when I had it all down and the carbs off, there was a lot of room in there. So I actually sanded most of it down, scuffed it all up, and then shot it with some satin, and it looks great. You can see in the cylinders, I didn't touch them. I left those alone. That's kind of what the cases look like. I left those because I didn't really want to paint them. They're not that bad, and it's kind of cool to see what the whole bike used to look like, you know. So those didn't touch them. I put new hardware up top because the old stuff was all rusty, but yeah, it turned out really good. Oh yeah, and you can kind of see this part of the frame. It's a little bit more shiny than the rest of it. All the rest of the frame is original paint. This part from the brake and the battery, brake fluid leaking from the master cylinder and battery acid, it corroded all this really bad and was real rusty. So I actually had to sand that down, and then I reshot that. So that looks great now. Forgot to mention, these master cylinders, both the front and the back, they had a lot of corrosion on the inside of them. So they wouldn't have sealed if I would have rebuilt them. They would have just leaked. So I went ahead and I sent those out to a place in California that actually puts a sleeve in them. So they've both been sleeved, so they're both like new, and that'll last the life of the bike. So those will last forever. Come back up to the top. You can see the fork tubes and everything. Painted the lower triple. This bike turned out phenomenal. I'm so happy with how it turned out. You know, it was a good bike in the beginning, but it was just so corroded and had so much surface rust on it. It looks a million times better now. Like the paint polished out good, and we'll get to that in a little bit. I'll show you some defects in it. All right, now we're back to the front. We'll go ahead and talk about some defects. The first one, these two pieces of decals were missing. They're actually under a thin layer of clear coat, and I guess they had chipped off. So I put a little piece there and a little piece there. You can see them up close, but when you're far away, you can't tell they're there. So those two things have been replaced. There's a little bit of road rash on the bottom of the fender. You can see right there, a little bit of nicks and stuff like that. I mean, this bike, it was neglected for a little bit. At least it was kept indoors though. So we'll come around to the front. There's another little bit of damage right here. I think the bike fell over in the guy's garage. There's that. And then there's a few of these little tiny nicks that are in the paint. I was gonna fix this, but I thought about it and it's just, I don't know. Once you fix that, you might get into the decal. I didn't want to do that because they're original, so I just left it. This side, everything looks good down here. So we'll get to the gas tank. There is some little tiny rock chips. You can see them, little tiny ones. They're hard to see because the bike's black, so they don't show up very well. But like on the bottom here, like there is some little nicks and stuff. I polished all the bodywork. I didn't wet sand it and polish it. I just polished it with the wool pad, you know, because the clear coat's so thin on these, but it turned out great. But there's a little nick there, some light scratches there, another nick there. And then there's a little bit of clear coat damage. I don't even know if you can see it. It's right here. You can kind of see the clear has come up. And then I think the worst part is right here around the gas cap. You can kind of see right there the clear had come up from gas sitting over time coming out. There's a little bit of clear damage. You can kind of see it. When you're far away, you can't notice it all, but that is there. So we'll get to the seat. The seat's original. There's some tears in it. You don't notice them because it's black. It's hard to tell. I cleaned all the chrome. Everything looks good, but there's a little piece right here. And then there's a couple little nicks on the seat like these. There's that one. There's that. Looked like somebody scratched it with something. And then there's another one like over here. So those are there. Not a big deal. You don't notice them at all. They're really unnoticeable. There's a little scratch on the tail. I think there's a little scratch on the side somewhere. I polished that tail light out, so that tail light looks good now. It had a lot of stuff, contamination on it. This is just like leftover stuff from the seat. So there's a couple little scratches on the tail all over the bike. There's a couple little nicks and stuff. I mean, it's original paint. I don't want to paint it because it's still so nice. Let's see the seat over here. I don't see, oh yeah, here we go. There's another little nick right there on the seat. I think that's really it. I don't think there's anything else. Some scuff, looks like there's a little scuff right here. And like another little light scratch right there. But it's so hard to tell. Even in the sun, you don't really notice it at all. So yeah, that's pretty much the bike, the overview of the bike. Great bike. I don't want to sell it, but I just got some other projects. So, you know, you can't keep them all. This will fund the next one. I love doing this bike. It was so cool. I bought it from the original owner. A buddy of mine told me about it, and I went and bought it, and you know, it's a great bike. It's the most comfortable bike that I have, that I ride. So hate to sell it, but gotta do what you gotta do. Can't keep them all. And I got a 911 that I have to fix, so everything on those costs a ton. So yeah, that's the Z1. It's on eBay right now, so keep your eye out. Thanks, guys.